Hi, thanks for joining us and welcome to our webinar, Aura 6 to Cloud. During today's webinar, we'll be covering three key topic areas for businesses looking to migrate to the cloud, ensuring best practice in system management, and creating a baseline for the development of omni-channel customer experience. A couple of things I'd like to mention. We've all automatically muted. If you have any questions, please use the question box provided, and we will answer all questions once James has finished. I will now hand over to James Hughes, Savio's Head of Support Solutions.
Great, thanks Catherine, thanks for the introduction and welcome everyone to today's webinar. Today I will be taking you through the journey to the cloud. We will take a look at the core challenges that you may face today and how Savio's contact center as a service solution platform will help you on your quest for delivering brilliant customer experiences. I will share with you the pathway to the cloud and how Savio has developed a contact center as a service platform that will support your business aspirations as you move forwards. So Savio want your customers to have brilliant experiences when they contact you. It is our passion, it's what we think about all day, every day. To support this, we have been designing, developing and building a contact center as a service platform with complementing assurance and functional capabilities that will support you on your customer experience strategy. Our development and design teams have been on their own journey for the last 24 months to make available to the market what we fully believe to be a unique proposition. Our platform is feature-rich with embedded assurance, testing and monitoring capabilities, and more importantly, it is innovation-ready. It is ready to layer on digital and customer experience enablement. We are going to focus on this in today's webinar. In summary, we have listened to you and the market, and through our contact center as a service platform, we can help you deliver brilliant customer experiences. So firstly, I'd just like to take a look at some of the challenges that you may be faced with today. Later, we will have a poll for you to feedback which of these challenges are relevant to you. So that'd be really helpful if you could complete that for us later. Anyway, regardless of the shape, size or complexity of your operation, we have captured the common themes that we have heard and seen and had feedback from the market. So firstly, your contact center platform today may be based on traditional on-premise platform with a CapEx spend for projects and life cycle upgrades. And on top of that, you would normally expect to have some sort of maintenance charge. This can really make life cycle and sustainability commitments difficult to manage and costs unpredictable. So if you think about the life cycle over the next 3 to 5 years, in the traditional CapEx model, you really are not sure when major upgrades will hit you and what the cost of those upgrades will be. So that's often a core challenge area that we're asked to look at. From a strategy and innovation perspective, you may feel that you spend more time running and operating your contact center platform than actually investing the time with IT and business together, working on the strategy, innovation, and ultimately your customer experience. The third area, which I guess certainly with this year with GDPR and MiFID II has become an even greater area of focus, which is you may be facing compliance and regulatory challenges, but your current platform makes these difficult to manage and stay on top of. You might not have the ability to move in an agile way to face MiFID II and GDPR, for example. So that's been a real core challenge and certainly something we've seen a lot of in the last 6 months. From an architecture perspective, you may want to reduce your hardware footprint, virtualize your environment, removing both third-party and internal operational costs, but you feel that you're a little bit constrained by your platform and the investment in that legacy environment that you've already got. And the fifth challenge really is aging software. So a lot of the market today are sitting on Avaya Aura 6, and the end of support and end of life dates are fast approaching. So from an end of support perspective, we're looking at July this year. And at that point, Avaya will potentially not provide any future bug fixes, security vulnerability patching, and those sorts of things. And I guess in GDPR environment, that could be a very specific challenge. So I did mention a little bit later we will have a poll, so we'll cover some of these in that poll, and that feedback will be really, really useful. So I guess just keeping these challenges in mind, Sabio have developed a pathway to the cloud, to a Sabio contact center as a service platform that we have made available to the market. So I just want to really go into some of the details about what that pathway looks like. So, for example, you could be a business who is sitting on an Avaya Aura 6 platform today, and you could just simply upgrade to Avaya Aura 7. That would be, I guess, a relatively large CapEx investment to do that piece of work. And I guess we're looking at this from a perspective of, if you complete that activity to migrate to Aura 7, it won't really move you forwards any further other than to retain manufacturer support. And what I mean by that is it won't reshape how you operate, how you build a baseline for the next 5 to 10 years, or enable agile adoption of new digital innovation. And that really comes back to the customer experiences. We truly believe that customer experience should be brilliant. And the purpose of the Sabio Contact Center as a service platform is to enable the adoption, the agile adoption of new innovation to drive forwards that strategy. So, so rather than just upgrade to retain manufacturer support status, as an alternative, you could take advantage of the Sabio pathway to the cloud and migrate to the contact center as a service platform. And in summary, Sabio will migrate and transform your environment from your existing Aura 6 environment and move you to the Sabio Contact Center as a service cloud platform. Now, there are options for this. It could be hosted in Sabio's data center, or it could be hosted in your data center in what we would call as the hybrid model. But regardless of the option you choose, the service model is the same. So it's fully technical managed service. So there's no requirement for you to perform the ongoing tier 1 triage, the ongoing housekeeping system management and maintenance. All of that becomes Sabio's responsibility. So that gives you time to focus on strategy and moving the business forwards. It includes class-leading SLA and availability commitments as part of the service. And the future lifecycle management is all taken care of as part of the OPEX costs for the solution. So what I'm talking about there is, in 2 to 3 years' time, the migration from Aura 7 to Aura 8 is part of the service, and that service will be sequenced. That upgrade will be sequenced in 2 to 3 years' time when that's most appropriate. Just to be clear, migrating to the Cloud Contact Center as a platform service, it includes the initial Aura 6 to Aura 7 upgrade. That's part of the service model. And I think the other part is that the platform comes fully loaded with a number of assurance, monitoring, and performance capabilities that are part of the service proposition from Sabio. So all of that combined really is in place to drive business value, but to provide a platform for easy, agile adoption of new technologies and innovation. And as I mentioned earlier, it can be in Sabio's data center, or you can retain that and we can deliver that whole solution and service in your own data centers. So as part of the service, you will also have access to full end-to-end 24/7 enterprise monitoring capability. That's MAS, monitoring as a service. It's our own product. And MAS really helps us remove the latency from identifying a service issue to resolving that issue. In most cases, that's by over 70%. But more importantly, MAS allows us to identify issues before they cause service impact. So, take the scenario of your agents have a problem, they experience an outage, they call your support organization. In this scenario, what we're talking about is we'll let them know that there was potentially a problem, but we've removed it before it even caused a service impact. We also include voice quality monitoring as a service. So that's our own product. It's built into the service again. This basically monitors the quality of calls to agents in a proactive manner, and any call quality issues or degradation of call quality, Sabio will pick that up proactively and deal with that in a proactive fashion. One area we also include is the capability to perform performance testing. And performance testing basically enables us to do a number of things. So, for example, we could use performance testing to assess the peak system capacity leading up to Black Friday, for example, in a retail organization. We can use performance testing to provide a DR test and input to the business continuity plans, or we could prove what happens to the system during a failover scenario. The other area we use performance testing for is pre and post change. So if we're leading up to a specific configuration change, we can run a performance test and see what the output of that test is. So we've benchmarked it. We apply the change. It could be a technical change or a functionality change. And then we can perform that performance test again afterwards, and we can assess whether that change has had the right level of impact or not. So that's part of the service as well. We also include Sabio Rapport. Now, Sabio Rapport is a voice analytics capability. It's one of the Sabio acquisitions we made last year. And Sabio Rapport really enables your business to identify areas of focus. So repeat callers, for example. Why do I keep having repeat callers at these certain times of the day? It can look at when your operational capability is best serving the customers. So, for example, if you're closed at 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, Rapport allows us to see the volume of calls that you would have during that period when your operation is closed. And that might lead to a step change in, perhaps we should extend our operating hours to cover when our customers really want to speak to us. And we can also use Rapport to help identify the cost to serve and what the customer sentiment is. So if we can see that customers are calling in repeatedly and then potentially being transferred from agent to agent or to the back office function, we can then really start to understand what the customer sentiment of a particular journey might be. So that's included in the service as well. The other focus area, which has really come from customer demand, it's come from us listening to customers and understanding some of the challenges that we see, and it's recording assurance as a service. So this product is again a Sabio developed product, and it was really built for MiFID II requirements. And basically what recording assurance as a service does is it checks the completeness and accuracy of every single call that should have been recorded in the environment and make sure that they have been recorded properly. And I guess the real function of that is that, recording is a passive service. The agent nor the end customer really knows whether the recording of that call has been complete or not. And what recording assurance as a service does, it will highlight to the business and to IT operations if required, and pinpoint any single call recording failures that are identified. And in a MiFID II or FCA regulated organization, the benefit of that is that you can openly work with the regulator to say, hey, we didn't record these number of calls. And if you work with the regulator in a proactive, open and honest manner, they are less likely to impose any fines. So that's recording assurance as a service. Again, that's part of the service. And I think overall, what this offers is a platform that enables you to just not worry about what's going on with the underlying TIN, the underlying applications. You don't have to worry about managing the platform anymore. The assurance capability is helping with GDPR and compliance and regulatory requirements. And really it allows you then to really think about what is your digital and customer experience strategy and give you the time to really focus on those areas. A couple of other things to clarify about the service. I just wanted to make clear that it's not a multi-tenanted solution. So any customer on this solution is not going to be impacted by a change that's specific to one customer that has to be rolled out across all customers. Each customer on this platform is essentially a private voice cloud environment. And the other thing is based on our reference architecture, and the benefit of this is we have the ability to benchmark performance across every single customer instance. So we know what good looks like. And if we know what good looks like, it means that if something needs attention, it's very obvious to us when the performance of a particular customer instance is out of tolerance. So it simply means that we can prevent issues becoming service outages, and we can share problem management activity across all of our customer instances in the environment. So for example, if we identify a root cause of an issue in one particular instance, we know that that root cause is likely to apply to every single customer instance in our cloud. And that's because we use a standardized reference robust architecture to build this service upon. The other area I just wanted to cover, which is the slide that we're looking at the moment, is really the evolution from the support side of the service model. So what I'm talking about here is, in your current environment, on-premise environment, you're probably in a maintenance, break, fix kind of support solution. And what I'm talking about here is really, we're transitioning from a maintenance service. And as you move into the Sabio Contact Center as a service cloud solution, we're moving maintenance to a proactive and predictive managed service. So that's the real focus of what we're doing as well. So for example, the capacity of all of the system elements are tracked. So that's underlying hardware, operating system, virtual machine environment, the application, the integrations, and even the capacity of the operation. So again, we know what the operation should look like based on trend and history because we're monitoring it. And it means that when we start to see trends happen and something starts to really raise an alarm to us, we can then be very predictive around how we operate the solution and how we communicate back to the customer to demonstrate or to highlight areas where they can need to think about future capacity moving forwards. We track the thresholds of core services and integrations, and from a system patching security vulnerability perspective, we're monitoring that, and we are applying system updates and security vulnerability patches as and when required. So that's part of the service as well. So again, you don't have to worry about that and think about that for the future. And I have mentioned it previously, but a major upgrade, so the next upgrade would be, so you go to the cloud 6 to 7 or a 6 to 7, and then whilst you're in the solution, in 2 to 3 years time, Avaya or 8 will come out. And as part of this solution, that midterm upgrade is also included. So you would move to Aura 8 during that contract period. So, this is really the baseline for your digital and CX strategy moving forward. So the question is, where do you want to go tomorrow, and how do you take your CX to the next level? So once in the contact center as a service cloud platform, you've migrated there. You're in a position now to be able to adopt innovation and new technologies, and that becomes much easier. And I'm sure you've all heard the concept of snap-ins. So that's what really we are focusing on from a Sabio perspective, both using best of breed products in the marketplace, but also developing our own snap-in products for this platform. So one of those, for example, is a transactional voice self-service capability, IVR capability, and this provides, it's a real step change really, because it's not going to require a big capex investment to adopt a voice self-service capability. We can switch on the capability, we can trial it, we can prove the return on investment, and we can go live really quickly. So that sort of snapping capability is available. Another area is enabling a digital channel. So we can provide the ability for your agents to share information with the customer or the consumer, such as documents and websites, photos, whatever it might be, through a product called Sabio Super Channel. So Sabio Super Channel is a switch-on feature in this cloud environment, and that switch-on feature offers the customer a text URL link which initiates a web browser session on a customer smart device, for example. And then during that session, either party can share information and data. So for example, it could be identification, so share passport details to prove who they are. It could be photos. It could even be a GPS location, for example. So if you imagine switching on that digital channel as a switch on feature, snap-in, as I mentioned, for an insurance company, you know, in an unfortunate event where the customers had an accident, they could share immediate photos of the accident for insurance purposes, and even share the third-party driver documentation, such as insurance certificate and those sorts of things. And in that conversation, in that digital channel, you could share a GPS location for vehicle recovery or emergency services. So, you know, once in that Sabio contact center as a service platform, these switch-on, snap-in features become really easy to test, trial, proof of concept, and go live really quickly. So from concept to business value, we're really shortening that length of time. And that's the agility that this platform really offers you. So really, I just wanted to come back to the initial 5 challenges and, you know, just to summarize really where we are and what this solution provides in terms of those challenges. So we looked at CapEx to OpEx. So the Sabio Contact Center as a platform, a contact center as a service platform, enables you to move all of the major upgrades over a 3 or 5 year term and fix them into this single OpEx managed model, including a mid-term upgrade during the course of that contract as well. So, and the initial migration from Aura 6, where you might be today, into Aura 7 as we transfer you into that platform. The second one was strategy and innovation. So when you move to the contact center as a cloud, contact center as a service platform in Sabio's cloud, all of the day-to-day management, housekeeping, system upkeep are taken care of, leaving you to focus on your core business aspirations. That's taken care of. Compliance and regulation. So as I mentioned, you know, this platform really does solve complex PCI, GDPR, and other regulatory issues such as MiFID and MiFID II, which came in on the 3rd of January this year. We partner with best of breed capability as well in that area. So Semaphone is our PCI capability. And as we move into this sort of architecture, so really taking that sort of footprint that you might have today, you know, lots of hardware, lots of gateways all over the place, you know, we're going to consolidate that into a single simplified solution. And we're going to, you know, leverage your existing investment in your current licenses, and we're going to passport those into this solution. I think the really important part is that at the end of the contract, if you want to take your licenses and passport them out and into a different solution, you can continue to do that. So that's part of the offering. So that passport in and then passport back out at the end of the term if you need to. And you know, just covering the aging software piece. So the initial migration to this platform includes that upgrade from Aura 6 to Aura 7, and that's all part of the OpEx charges. There's not a CapEx charge to do that. So that was the summary there, really. We have a quick poll, which we're just going to put on the screen now. If you could just take 15 seconds to provide some feedback, it would really, really help us you know, understand your challenges in a bit more detail. Brilliant. So that was it from me. Catherine, do you want to just wrap up, please?
Yes. Yeah, sure. That was great. Thanks, James. We have had a couple of questions come through.
Okay.
The first one being, you mentioned reference architecture. Could you explain what you mean?
Yes. Okay, yeah, good question. So reference architecture is basically Sabio spending a lot of time in our labs building a template that is a repeatable template for every customer instance that we have in our cloud solution. And the purpose of that is to build a robust and standardized service model and platform that enables us to be much more proactive in the way we support our customers. But also, if we have this reference architecture, allows us to build a platform that enables agile adoption of new innovation and technology. So within this platform, if we want to switch on new features for customers, we can absolutely do that in a really short period of time. So what it really means is we don't have lots of bespoke different environments that are very complex to manage and innovate with. We have a standard reference architecture which we apply to each and every single customer in the environment, and that gives us a real baseline to drive performance, capability, and innovation.
Great, thank you. We've got a second one here, recording assurance. How does it work?
Right, okay. So recording assurance is the ability for us to proactively monitor every single call that came into the contact center that should have been recorded. We can identify specifically whether every single call was recorded. And if it wasn't recorded, we can highlight an alert, we can produce a report, and those kinds of reports, we would expect customers to then share that with the regulator if necessary. But what core recording assurance also does is, because it's a passive service, nobody knows if it's really operating or not. Core recording assurance really gives us that insight when there's an immediate issue. So it takes away the use case scenario of, a supervisor goes to play back a recording, finds it's not there. And when they do some further analysis, they realize actually they've not been recording for, hours or days or weeks even. So recording assurance is, as soon as a call fails, we know exactly which call it was. And it might be that it's a freak occurrence, it's just one call that's failed to be recorded properly, or it could be an indicator that every single call recording is now not recording. And we can track and capture all of those. And I think sometimes people think this is just a compliance MiFID II kind of service. It's not. It's anybody who's invested in call recording and really cares about making sure that they've recorded all calls so they can play them back or use speech analytics to analyze those calls. This recording assurance as a service platform model is absolutely relevant.
Okay, great, thank you. And we have just one final question that's come through.
Yeah.
Can you clarify that the upgrade to Aura 7 is included in the model, and how does this work?
Yeah, okay. So for example, if you're a customer with Aura 6 at the moment, and you want to migrate to this cloud solution, we will perform not only the migration into the cloud solution, but also as we do that, we'll automatically upgrade you from Aura 6, Avaya Aura 6 to Avaya Aura 7. But there won't be a project CapEx charge to do that. It will just be taken care of in the new OpEx charges model.
Okay, great, thank you. That was the final question.
Great, thank you.
So I just want to say thanks to everyone for your time today. We hope you enjoyed the webinar. If you have any further questions, please feel free to contact James Hughes via the contact details that are currently on your screen. Thank you.